hey friends, it's Tracey and Violet from Tea Time with Tracey and Violet. She's just out there. I'm just sitting down today and having a cup of tea. I just opened some mail from some friends on my other channel, and I thought, well, I'll talk about a book I finished yesterday, and it's called Feast of Snakes by Harry Crews. Have you ever heard of this book? Yeah. But first, let me finish off this tea, and then I'll show you the teacup. I forget if I've had her out with you guys or not. I'm sorry I haven't got a video up in probably almost a week or so. I've just been busy. We're painting and sanding and crack filling and all that stuff. So I just haven't had time. I've been reading. I just haven't had time to sit down and talk to you guys about it, even though I wanted to. I have a couple of book hauls to do because I can't help myself. I have, I think, 5 books read, and I haven't talked about any of them with you, so I'm about to burst. So I'm going to talk to you about this one, because I read this one yesterday, and yeah. I brewed a pot of tea, and I'm having some cozy cinnamon tea, but here she is. There's her secret weapon. Like I say, I can't remember, but you see the top of her is kind of rippled, like she's not all smooth top. Gold up here, triple band gold here, and gold down at the bottom. So she's a fancy gal. Yes, she is. And then she has gold down on her arm here. And gold down here, but I really like the top because it's like thunderbolts. She don't take no gruff off of nobody. So she looks pretty, but she bites. But yeah, 3 bands there, 1 band here, and she has gold in the same kind of rippled edges there. And she is from Paragon, H&M The Queen, and H&M The Queen Mary, Fine Bone, China, England, registered 56484/1X. So let me pour another one, and we'll talk about this book real quick, because I just got done mopping and sweeping and mopping and vacuuming and all that stuff from sanding today out in the piano room. So, and I still got supper to cook. The kids are at school, and yeah, a million other things to do. But I want to talk about this book. Let me just have another whiff off of this. Bite ya. She's hot. She's hot, boys. Anyways, I got a recommendation of this book from Juan from Plagues of Vision, I think. I'll put his channel down below. I forget which video. I know he has several kind of called the same thing. It was top most disgusting books, or disturbing books. He has disgusting book videos too, but I think this was a disturbing book in one of his recommendations. And I had never heard anybody talk about this. So I'm like, well, I got to see what the big whoop is about this one. Not very long, very short, 170 some pages, 77 pages. And yeah, this takes place in a little teeny tiny town of Mystic in Georgia. And yeah. Let me read the back of it first. Well, it doesn't have a synopsis, does it? This is just A Feast of Snakes is a brief but absolutely stunning novel, one that upon a couple of occasions left me quite breathless. Yes, this doesn't have the thing, but from the novelist, the New Yorker called a writer of extraordinary power, The Feast of Snakes is a wildly weird and breathtakingly original visit to a rural South and the exotic subculture that erupts in all its glory at the Rattlesnake Roundup in Mystic, Georgia. John Lon, L-O-N, how would you say that? Mackey, a former All-American running back, now without purpose or pleasure in life, decides that the gathering of snake hunters in his hometown is the ideal opportunity to get attention. His search for excitement triggers a bizarre series of events, including adultery, castration, suicide, and murder, as Harry Crews once again presents a macabre, hilarious, and irresistible version of the human comedy. Well, that's about as close as a synopsis as you're going to get on this book, I guess. But yes, this book starts off in this little town of Mystic, and Joe Lawn, he's probably like 21 or 22. He was out of high school, and he was like the shiz when he was in high school. The best football player. I don't know football. I know hockey. I don't know football. But it was a big deal in the town. And so everybody in his little town, and when I say little, it's little, know who he is. He graduated high school because of who he was. He wasn't rich or anything like that, but for his talent on the football field. The thing is, he wasn't very smart academically. He just got by school because of his popularity and his ability to woo the community who was obsessed with football. And when he finished high school, he didn't end up going on to university and college or anything like that because he didn't really have the ability academically to do so. So we plop into this story where he is at home. He's only been out of school a handful of years. He's working at a little corner store that his father owns, but he runs it. They sell moonshine and whiskey and then regular things. It's just like a little store. That's like the main store of the town, I guess. Maybe not, but it's like where people go to get the shine and all that sort of thing. It starts off, I think, that he's in the store behind the counter, and right off the bat, I have to say, there's racism in this story. There's alcohol all through this story. Just saying. So he's at this store, and you don't think too much of him, like, oh, he's just a regular guy, that sort of thing. He ends up going home, leaving to go home, and to his wife, and he has 2 little kids now at this point. John, I didn't know whether to feel bad for him or not, because he says some racist things, like he calls people names and things like that. And he's working at the store, he goes home, and then that's where it even turns like, oh yeah, this guy's a jackass. He really is. Abusive. Doesn't give a flying flip-flop about his family. They got 2 little baby boys. They live in a double wide trailer. And his wife, I don't know whether to feel bad for her. I kind of do, but she seems like, I don't understand, because she stays with this son of a gun. She is, well, I'm not very explaining this very well. He gets home, and in his mind, we hear him looking at his wife and how she used to be so pretty, but now she's kind of big, and her boobs are saggy, and her teeth are black, and she had these kids, and she's always calling him honey, like she lets him get away with so much stuff. And he just calls her out on things. And she's just trying to do right. Oh, I have supper here for you. I can do this and do this. And he'll say, well, why don't you go get your teeth fixed? You know, those ugly things. You can't be walking around like that. And just really not loving. He's not a loving husband at all. He has an internal struggle with himself, because you get the feeling that he's feeling left behind. He used to be the big star of the town, And when he graduated, most of the people he went to school with went on to more schooling, and he got stuck behind. Now he's stuck with this wife that he doesn't like, who was ugly, who worships at his feet, and with 2 screaming kids that he doesn't seem to like at all. And it's just miserable. Just miserable. Miserable. So this story follows John, and it follows a few other characters too. You get to see his father, who was a dog fighter. There's dog fighting in this too. So animal cruelty, huge trigger. Huge trigger in this book. His father's like 7 feet tall, a great big burly bear of a man who's almost deaf. But he fights dogs, and it seems to be readily accepted in this community that dog fighting is okay and to be betted on, and it brings people together to watch dog fighting in a ring. I don't get it. And what I read in this book, I felt like I was sitting on the bleachers watching it and being sick about it. Like, it was a really disturbing book, a lot of the aspects. There's another character in this. Her name's Lottie Mae. She's an African-American young girl, like of age, but a young girl. And there shows glimpses of her. She is the sister of 2 of the young men that work for John in that store. And stereotypes galore. So John has these 2 workers. They're brothers. They're Lottie Mae's brothers. And we first meet Lottie. She's locked up in jail because the sheriff is a perverted son of a gun with a peg leg, has her in a jail cell. And this community they're just coming upon a rattlesnake roundup, I should say. So Lottie Mae seems to be tormented by snakes. She doesn't like snakes. She's terrified of snakes. The sheriff has her locked up and doesn't really say why. And he's not going to let her out. He pretty much gives her the ultimatum. You either have the snake in this cell with you or me in there with you. And you know what that means if the sheriff goes in the cell. Think dark, twisted. Yeah, so she's assaulted and she's allowed to go. There's things like that in this story. I should also say, when we get to know his father, John is just as bad as his father, really. John has a sister who lives with his father, who was, very attractive young girl. She's younger than John. All of a sudden, she went crazy when she finished school, I think, for reasons it explains in the book. But she is holed up in his father's house in her room, and she doesn't leave ever. She's filthy, and she just lays in bed and watches TV on full volume to drown out the animal abuse that her father's doing in the next room, things like that. The rattlesnake roundup is a way to justify or to get attention, basically, for John to try to bring some glory back to him. He's one of the founders trying to make this rattlesnake roundup, which they actually catch snakes, put them in a snake pit, and then release them all, and then these rattlesnake hunters go and shoot them and hunt them down like bananas. What happens is this year is bigger than any other year. So there's so many people there, hundreds of people, which is, I forget how many they said, 1,000 people. Like, there's so many people there. Like, they're jam-packed. And I've never read anything by Harry Crews, but I think Harry Crews has passed now. This was published in 1976. I should say that too. There's so many people there. They're bumper to bumper to bumper. There's no moving around. It just felt so claustrophobic. In the field that this roundup is held is right behind the store that John works at. So it takes place all around there. You get to know one of his friends. Willard is his name. They meet a couple that are from Florida that come with the Winnebago that end up bumming around with them. And just the cruelty, and it's disturbing. In my mind, I'm thinking, I don't know if you've ever been sprayed by a skunk. I haven't, but you smell a dog that's been sprayed by a skunk, you bath it, still smells like a skunk. I've hit a skunk one time with a car. It stunk to high heavens for like a month. It's terrible. And terrible to hit a skunk, like, unfortunate. But this book is like that. It leaves a stank on you. It's just, I really enjoyed it. That's, I can say, like the writing style. It's not a happy story. It's not necessarily what you would call like a horror story, as in horror, like a Halloween horror or anything like that. It's a horrible, disturbing glimpse into the mind of some people that are described in this story. Like, and just the things that go on. This roundup gets so big, people start going crazy, and almost like a mosh pit sometimes. And to myself, that's more scary than a demon possession. You know what I mean? I would not want to be trapped there, especially I would not want to be trapped there with any dependents with me. If it was me, I wouldn't go there voluntarily, but I could at least fend for myself or try to. But the people in here, I'm just like, the ruckus was so big, and the way the characters that were developed in this short little book, I was amazed. Short little book, you get to know some of these people and described, and it's almost like, yeah, I can picture that. I can picture that son of a gun. I know what he means by, you know, they're having a dick measuring contest. Excuse my language, but who can pump the most weight on a bench press? And just small minds, I would say. Yeah. This is not a very good synopsis explanation of this book. I'm glad I read this, and I don't know other books that Harry Crews had wrote, author of 20 books, including Celebration, and lives in Florida. He must have lived, I think he's passed. I looked him up on YouTube. There's a few old interviews with him. But I thought I would get this because Juan mentioned it's disturbing. And it is disturbing. I have read what books were classified as disturbing before, and I didn't find it that disturbing. I thought it like bizarre or weird or strange. This is kind of disturbing. Like, it's not affecting me personally in the sense that, oh my God, I'm traumatized. But in my mind, I need to wash the stank off my mind because, yeah. Another thing, which I didn't realize when I read it, this takes place in November, so it was a perfect November read. But, yeah, some twisted things go on in this, but not so much that it's in a realm that couldn't possibly happen, because it could possibly happen. And that's where it gets a little scary, because I can't imagine being one of these people in here, but I'm sure there's people like this in here. And yeah. Anyways, I just wanted to talk about it. It's not like, I don't do star ratings. I don't do anything like that. I enjoyed this book. It is definitely a disturbing book. But big trigger warnings for this: spousal abuse, racism, animal cruelty, lots of drinking, lots of stereotypes. I enjoyed it, like, I didn't know if I was going to like it at first, because I was like, oh, not that, just the language used, but the more I got into it, I'm thinking, oh my God, everybody in this place. I can chalk it up to this Mystic, Georgia little town. It's just fiction. I know it's just fiction, but yeah, it makes you feel things, like the angst, that, oh, I feel bad for this person, somebody's picked on, or, you know, things like that. But it just shows how far a human mind can go, and shows how far people can get wound up if there's a group of people. Beat them, you know, join the party kind of thing. If you can't beat them, join them. And that's where it goes, only it goes disturbingly. Yeah, goes disturbingly. That's all I can say about that. But anyways, I just wanted to talk about one book so I can get a video up, A Feast of Snakes. So check it out if you're interested. I will put the link down below where you can buy it if you want to buy it. I don't know if it's on Kindle. I don't know, but I bought it secondhand, I think off of Thrift Books or something. But anyways, there you go. So I'm going to say peace, love, and happiness today and every single day. Please like, share, and subscribe if you so choose. But if not, that's okay too. I still love you. I still want all the happiness in the world for each and every one of you out there. I certainly do. I really, really honest and truly do. Yes, I do. So, all right, guys. Well, I'm going to finish my tea and get on with my day. So with that, I'm going to say have a good night or have a good morning. And I might see you tomorrow. Bye. Boing. Bloop.